In this video, we talk a little bit about house hacking in the greater Sacramento area. Affordability is tough right now in Sacramento. A lot of people want to buy their first home. A lot of people want to buy their first investment home. They just don't know the right strategies that have been working for hundreds of people in the greater Sacramento area. That is what we're going to go over in this video today. Tips and tricks on how to get you into your first home or first investment home. Our guest is Matt Barba. He's been helping hundreds of people get into their first investment homes with clever strategies and techniques that could work for you. Let's welcome Matt to the show. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I think it would help a little context on my background. Before I got into financing, I actually spent 2 years as a analyst for a multifamily firm out of San Francisco. Right. So for my first 2 years in real estate, all I did was underwrite and analyze properties. Specifically, we were going for 2 to 12 units between Oakland, San Francisco, and the surrounding counties. Right. So now moving forward into lending, right? Been lending for the last 10 years. And lately, with the affordability issues that we're currently facing and low inventory that we're facing, it's been really hard for first-time home buyers to get their first property. And so what I've been thinking about, and it really hit me, which was if I could apply the two, right? The two backgrounds. So house hacking, simply put, is using extra income that the property can generate to help offset your expenses on the home, right? So simply put, now there's a bunch of different ways you can do it, right? You can rent out rooms. You could buy multi-unit, rent out to units. You can rent RV, if you have an RV pad, right? You could lease the space out. And then Airbnb, right? So the Airbnb has been really popular. If you have an ADU or an Airstream on your property, you can Airbnb it. So those are the most common ways we're seeing people house hack.
Now, for me, I've been getting a lot of calls from people. I mean, we've helped the Sacramento State graduate who says, I'm going to rent out the entire house to my fraternity brothers and I'm going to be able to have them pay off my mortgage. We've been talking to people who've been helping their child get their first home. And Sacramento is kind of like a very good spot for that. We're seeing a lot of different, like we talked offline, you're talking about there's a lot of different properties, a lot of different opportunities here. As far as tax benefits go, what are some tax benefits that you know of as far as offline we were talking about everything and you're saying everyone should own a short-term rental. So talk a little bit about these tax benefits that we were talking about.
Yeah, so in general, when you rent out a property, it kind of changes to an investment or a business. And so there's different tax write-offs that you can claim versus being a primary owner, right? The reason I if you're in California, I think you should look into Airbnb is because it's considered active income, because ideally you're renting it less than 7 days at a time. So active income, those write-offs you can actually apply towards your W-2 income. So,
okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm not a CPA. You still want to do your due diligence and talk to a professional about it. But I have clients right now. One, for instance, he is renting out 3 bedrooms in his house. It's an $850,000 property. He's been in it 2 years. His net payment, right, is $1,400 a month. So from a leverage standpoint, it's incredible. I mean, $1,400 per month to own an $850,000 property, right? On top of it, he's telling me that he's investing, everything that he's saving, he's investing too, low risk investments. And so he's really setting himself up to have a big future. It's an inconvenience to have roommates, but he's done it in a way and found a property that makes sense for him.
Now, here's the thing that's kind of funny to a lot of people who are thinking about jumping in there. A lot of people are like, should I get a single family home? Should I get a condo? Should I start with a duplex? I mean, what are the characteristics of a property that make it ideal for house hacking?
First, you have to determine what you're comfortable with, right? You have to do a little bit of analysis on yourself. You also have to take a little bit of assessment and say, how much can I afford, right? And do I need rental income to qualify? If you need rental income to qualify, it's going to change the type of properties you should go out, in my opinion, from a lender's point of view, right? There's changes coming down, from the top with financing, specifically FHA, you can't use rental income on an ADU for FHA. Now, it's been
Okay.
proposed that you can, and that could come as early as this year or next year, right? So if you need rental income to qualify on FHA financing, I think duplexes in California make the most sense.
Okay.
If you
Okay. Well,
want more units than that, I think going conventional is going to make the most sense from a lender's point of view.
let me ask you something though. I mean, I've shared a couple stories with you offline and just recently about Sacramento State graduate. Give me some testimonials of people that you've been working with currently in our market that are doing it right.
Yeah, so I worked with a first-time home buyer recently. We took He was approved FHA for 375, right? Now just changing the property type. That's all we changed from a single family home to a duplex. It took him from 375 to 500,000. Now, this is why I'm obsessed right now with the Sacramento market when it comes to house hacking and multi-units. You can find duplexes, right? Typically where like the two garages are attached. I've seen a lot of property like that um, in that 500 range. And so you've got great neighborhoods, great architecture, a bunch of different places. Further up, El Dorado Hills, Folsom, where else? Shingle Springs, um, Fair Oaks. I'm finding a lot of properties with RV parking, right? I'm finding a lot of properties with ADUs. So again, it depends on what you need to qualify, but there's a ton of opportunities within the Sacramento region right now.
Okay, so let's go deeper into Sacramento because this is kind of like, you and I like live in the area, so we kind of know this stuff too. What are some of the hot areas that you're seeing as far as for people who are looking to house hack?
Oh, I found some great deals in the pocket recently. Um, I naturally look at like Midtown and Land Park. Those properties are more expensive, right? So the numbers might not work, but there's a lot of opportunities there. Where else have I seen some? They're kind of all along the freeways. It seems like right off of 80 or right off of 50 on both sides. So I've seen them in like Carmichael, Orangevale, um, Natomas, right? So again, I feel like the whole area is covered with like these opportunities, and I specifically look for units, right?
Right.
I Agents send me properties to analyze. I analyze a lot of properties for agents when it comes to like ADUs and like what the potential could be there. But I'm specifically looking for like 2 to 4 units, and I'm finding a ton of opportunities like throughout the whole region.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about something you and I talked about maybe 3 weeks back. You were talking about everyone is obsessed right now with finding a piece of property on a big piece of land for ADU building.
I'm not getting a lot of requests for it. I'm getting a lot of, how much can they take out on an HELOC, right? So I had one today. It's like, I want to explore taking out a HELOC to build an ADU. Now, where most clients kind of come up short is the cost of ADUs haven't decreased yet, right? I mean, most proposals seem around 200,000 range. So pulling out $200,000 of equity, I don't think everyone has it, but it's definitely something that clients are exploring right now.
Another thing too is duplexes. I mean, in Sacramento, we've got actually affordable duplexes.
I mean, I love it. I love it just for the fact that financing is a little bit easier on a duplex. Let me provide some context as to why both FHA and conventional, right? So FHA has a guideline that not many people know about. It's called the self-sufficiency rule, right? And it only applies to 3 and 4 unit properties. Self-sufficiency rule simply states that the rental income, gross rental income minus vacancy factor, which is 25%, has to cover the entire house payment, including taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance. In California, that's really hard to achieve if you go FHA with a minimum down payment, right? So
Okay.
the duplex is exempt from that rule. 2 homes on one lot is exempt from that rule, right? And so therefore you can use rental income on those properties and qualify easier than you could on 3 and 4. Now the government made some changes this year to conventional financing. You can do a 2 to 5 unit property with 5% down. If you occupy it, the old rule was 15% down, right? And so they've made it easier for the down payment qualifications to get into units as well. So that's kind of the two reasons why I like going units in Sacramento, because you can find 3 and 4 unit affordable properties and do 5% down. Now, I do want to set the stage and like set all expectation. House hacking really means that you're going to live in the property, right? So I think this is a great stepping stone for future investors to get a taste of being a landlord, right? But the whole concept is around offsetting your expenses with rental income on a property that you're going to live in.
House hacking isn't easy, right? I mean, it takes a lot. It's a long game. People are kind of obsessed with the whole idea of building the portfolios in real estate. And I get it. It makes sense. But let's break down the type of buyers that I'm working with right now that are kind of itching into like as far as the investment in the house hacking. Well, maybe not house hacking, but just rental properties for creating a portfolio. I'm having a lot of people moving into the Sacramento area, maybe but they bought their house that they're living in, and now they're seeing that there's a lot of people who are putting their money into Sacramento. And now all of a sudden they're saying to themselves, you know what? I'm actually thinking maybe about taking some money out of 401k, grabbing some money out of my house and maybe putting 20% down and buying an investment property. What would be advice you'd give to that person who's like thinking about it? Maybe they're seeing some crazy videos on YouTube and they're saying to themselves like, I'm in Sacramento. I like it. I sold my $2 million house in the Bay Area. I just spent maybe $850 on a house in Sacramento. I got some money here. And I like it. I like the idea of having something tangible, something in real estate. Like, what do you say to that person?
Run your numbers. Run your numbers and work with someone super local, right? That they can tell you what the rental growth will be, right? The economics in Sacramento look great, right? We're seeing more businesses move up here, right? We've got a lot of government jobs here, which is stable income, right? I think that's what a lot of investors are seeing is the stability here is really strong and it's growing on like every real estate blog, right? It's like top cities people are moving to. Sacramento is always like in the top 10.
Yep.
Right. And so I just think there's a lot of everyone's seeing the opportunity here, but make sure your deal cash flows, right? Like it's kind of investment basics, right? Just make sure that your properties are cash flowing and you're working with a realtor and a lender and a property manager who like knows their numbers. And so we see it all the time. Like I want to buy an investment property and then we run the numbers for the client and they don't make any money. Right. So I think knowing that where the rent growth is going to be and just making sure that you're going to cash flow on the property.
What do you think about short-term rentals versus long-term rentals?
It's a hot topic. I love short-term rentals right now from my understanding on what the tax benefits are, but they're a lot more work and the expenses are higher due to higher turnover, right? I think there's something to be said about long-term rentals. You can kind of put a property manager in there, set it and forget it to an extent. You know, you're still going to get those phone calls. You're still going to have tenant issues. I think Airbnb is much more active. Like, I think you kind of have to have the time for it too. Or now I haven't explored this. So let me ask you, have you heard of like hiring a super host?
I had there's a person in Sacramento. I think he moved out of town. He was like, I was talking to him a little bit about this, and he said it's getting kind of popular right now. It's kind of like a super host would be someone who kind of manages the Airbnb kind of.
I think it's pretty unique. I think I've seen at least one or two people in this area who are, you're right, like Airbnb superhosts, Airbnb property managers, where they don't have like a property management firm, but they're very familiar with how the app and the systems work. They have the time to be super responsive and get paid for it. I don't know what they get paid or what, an average expense is for an Airbnb superhost, but it sounds like you can delegate that property management work out, which is also nice.
100%. Okay, so let me ask you something. Actually, I kind of wanted to also pick your brain on some things too. For me, I like the idea also of like I call it the three things you're kind of looking for in investment property for clients. I always look at an area that I see future appreciation, because at the end of the day, that's kind of what you're looking for. And then also good possibilities for like short-term rentals, maybe being close to like a hospital for like traveling nurses or whatnot too. And also like long-term rentals, kind of being close to maybe like in Elk Grove, close to Apple, or in Natomas, which I love. I love North Natomas, close to Amazon. What do you think about the areas in Sacramento you'd say that would be the most that could leverage both appreciation, long-term and short-term? For me, the areas I like Oak Park because you're close to the Med Center, close to downtown too. And people always love to like Airbnb close to places near downtown, everything too. Appreciation, I think Oak Park is just rock solid. I think that is, I mean, that's not bad, depending on where you purchase. I think North Natomas, close to the airport, close to downtown. Airbnb, long term, short term, and appreciation as well too. I like North Natomas's chances of expanding once that med center comes in, and I also like Rosemont. I like being adjacent to Sacramento State. I like those houses. They're not like they're not like those amazing Granite Bay estates, but those things are like little money boxes. You know what I mean? Those are my three spots. What do you think?
Yeah, we have a client in Hollywood Park.
Okay.
I like Hollywood Park. Already, like in the last 2 years, his appreciation is really good. Um, I like I like the Pocket, and I like Southland Park, and I love North Natomas. If you are moving here and you travel a lot, or you want to be close-ish to downtown, um, yeah, I mean it's already so easy to get in and out of downtown. Um, But I was traveling a lot for work the last couple of years, and like I just kept thinking like North Thomas would be nice.
North of Thomas for us, I mean, you got like newer building. Yeah, you got flood insurance, but at the same time, a lot of people, when they do their searches, they don't know Sacramento. I mean, you and I live here, so we know Roseville, we know Fair Oaks. A lot of people don't know Sacramento, and they feel very comfortable being close to downtown, right? There's something about being close to downtown that makes people feel at ease. And it's like North of Thomas is right between the airport and downtown. Newer construction. It's a nice developing area as well too. You got the new med center coming in too. So I like that spot, as far as everything. I also like Roseville. I think Roseville is booming as well too. And I think Roseville could be a little bit of like my maybe number 4 spot. What do you think of Roseville?
I like Roseville. My brother's out there. It's expansive, right? Um, I know that people in El Dorado Hills are jealous of the mall,
Oh yeah.
right? Like if we want anything, we have to head that direction anyways, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think we said it on our last one. I still like Cameron Park as far as value, right? What you get for your dollar just up the hill, without getting into like snow and any of that stuff. Um, I think it's a great price point for your entry level buyer.
Let me ask you something. You got a kid, they just graduated college and they're out there and they're saying, "Hey, I want to jump into the Sacramento's market." And you're saying, "And I want to buy something that, is something that's going to help me towards my future." What do you do?
How old?
Let's go 22.
22. Just graduated.
Just graduated and is saying, "Man, Dad, I've been watching all your videos. I'm so inspired. I want to get in there early because you keep telling me that you should have got in there earlier," which we all do. What do you suggest?
Yeah. So what I would do is I've done this in the past for clients too, right? Which is once they lock in that first job, right? Get them something close-ish to work. They don't have a big commute because it's about lifestyle too, right? So um, make sure they get that first job, understand what they can afford, right? I would go off the top of my head, I would go with 2 to 3 units, 4 units if we can swing it. But we've had parents completely co-sign for the whole loan, right? Because the job was so new, right? I think it was a UPS driver. His job was so new. We knew what he was going to make, but we couldn't use the income as qualifying income, right? Um, and so the parents ended up co-signing for the whole loan, but he's still the primary. So he still gets all the first-time home buying perks, right? Now he is going to rent it out. Um, he's going to rent it out to friends, so he gets a taste of being a landlord, but still small risk. If you can manage 1 or 2 units, it's not too much work. I think a lot of first-time home, let's say home buyers, but A lot of these like first time home buyers that call me, they swing for the fence. They want, 4 units for like $2 million. That's a lot of risk,
Yeah.
right? And so if it doesn't go right or you put bad tenants in there, it's hard to get out of that hole. And so that's why I like it. You're going to occupy 1 unit. You're going to rent out 1 unit. You only have to manage one tenant, right? And you see if you like it. Give it 2 years. Get the rents up, right? And then move on to your next purchase.
I like what my client did from Sacramento State, renting it out to your fraternity brothers, and because they're the entry level fraternity brothers, they have to rent it for whatever he says. No, I'm just joking, but it's not a bad way to be. Okay, so let me ask you something. You have some of the best house hacking tips, and what you're seeing. What can you tell us about maybe your top 3 house hacking tips that maybe people out there don't know?
I mean, like I said earlier, the first one is know your numbers, know what you're capable of and what you're comfortable with, right? The second one is understanding if the property that you're looking for is even in that location, right? So I've got some close friends in Reno. I talk to them about this often. They don't have multi-units where they are at in Reno, right? So their house hacking is going to be look like more like single family homes with ADUs or just single family homes in general, right? So just knowing if the property type that you're looking for is even in that location. The last thing I'm going to say is, and gets really niche into like the real estate space, is knowing the legal classification of the building and the zoning of the area. We've had transactions cross our desk where multiple lenders denied it, but it's because the agent told them it was a duplex plus 2 ADUs, right? And so every time the agent presented that to a lender, they're like, no, we can't do it. Well, it turns out when we looked up the legal classification, it just showed a duplex. So we went through underwriting. Underwriter said no problem. It still shows as duplex. We pulled all the reports, still showed as duplex. Ordered the appraisal, and this is where we got a little antsy, but because the appraisal will determine best use of the property. Turns out when we got the report back, the ADUs were actually 2 like abandoned sheds. Large sheds on the property that they were planning to convert to ADUs. They weren't actual ADUs with like stoves and sinks and, they weren't built out. And so just knowing the legal classification, we got the loan approved, we got the loan done as a duplex because that's truly what it was.
Wow. Okay. That's a crazy story.
So yeah, just knowing, we get them from the property profile reports, right? It says we order this like the first thing we order. It tells us the intended use of the property. And so people will tell us, oh, this is 3 or 4 units. But when we pull that report and it says something different, that's usually where things can, well, in this case, can go right for you. But it's also where the deal can fall apart too.
So Matt, like as far as people, where can they reach out to you? I mean, we're going to put the description for Matt and all his stuff down there too. And I want to bring Matt on also to talk about a little bit of affordability, ways you can kind of get into the market and ways you can kind of like, maybe build your wealth through investments. Like it's not going to be one of those things where you're buying a super lotto ticket and you're winning $1 billion, but it can be something where if you start early on, you can retire early. And this is kind of what a lot of people are doing. Sacramento tends to be a hotbed of that because in Northern California, honestly, with the different property styles out here and the bang for your buck you get out here, people love it. And I'm going to be bringing Matt on anytime I possibly can. We're going to talk about topics that are going to educate you on the idea of investing, multifamily, duplexes, and everything else. Matt, any parting words for the audience?
No, I just want to thank you for your time. This was a lot of fun. I could talk about this all day. I provide a lot of free content on Instagram, right? I think I'm getting some motivation from you to create a YouTube channel, but you can find me at the Matt Barba on Instagram. That's where 95% of my content goes first. And then you can always reach me. I'm at Vibe Mortgage here in Roseville.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed having Matt on the show, and if you want to see more Matt content, like, comment, any questions you have here, I'll make sure Matt gets them and he'll answer them as well too. But guys, this channel is for you. We know affordability is getting to be one of those things that is just a tough pill to swallow. We know a lot of people are moving in here and competing against some of these investors. Some of us want to be investors. This channel is going to dedicate a little space for that as well too. Subscribe. Until next video, guys, this is Mark and Matt. We're out of here.